Take a moment right now to slow down and breathe easily. Set aside all the noise in your mind for a short time and gently turn your focus inward to what you have truly been feeling deep beneath everything else. You may have noticed something lately that is difficult to describe in simple words. There is a tightness that comes into your chest without any warning at all. A sudden memory of a certain person appears out of nowhere. There is also a restless, electric kind of feeling that hums quietly just below the surface of your usual day. That feeling is not random, and it is not only in your imagination. It is a clear signal. Energy is flowing toward you at this very time, and your deeper self is noticing it even before your thoughts have time to fully understand what is happening. Your inner self works on a level that goes much deeper than any conversation or message. It picks up on things that move faster than anything happening on the outside. This is why you can feel that something is changing with this person before there is any clear sign of it. That soft pull inside your chest, the one you often brush off as simple wishful thinking, is actually your inner guide, letting you know that this connection still has important parts left to experience. If you have been feeling that sudden tightness in your chest or a pull towards someone, hit like right now. This is usually how such things happen. Just before a big change appears in the outside world, a quiet pressure starts to build up within you. It feels like an energetic tension that you notice without being able to fully explain it. That is precisely the situation you are in at this moment. Small openings are forming in what used to be complete silence. New paths are starting to appear where there once seemed to be only solid walls. Your place in this person's life has not disappeared the way you may have worried it did. While you were dealing with your own questions and living with uncertainty, something was quietly changing inside them. The protective walls they had built around their heart, from fear, pride, and the desire to stay in control, have been slowly coming down. The strong feeling you have been sensing lately is there because they are now holding emotions they can no longer keep hidden. The real truth is rising to the surface, whether they feel ready for it or not. The bond you share goes far beyond ordinary thinking. It is not something that distance or time can simply remove by itself. To truly understand why this change is happening now and why the coming days will feel clearly different, it helps to consider what this person has actually been going through in the quiet time between you. They have been moving carefully, keeping some space while still watching from a distance. They were caught between their own uncomfortable fears and a strong pull toward you that they tried very hard to deny. Comment pull if you have been sensing their energy lately, even without any contact. During the time apart, they filled their days with activities that seemed fine from the outside. They looked calm and in control, like someone who had simply moved on and found a new routine. But that appearance was only a cover. It was a mask they used even on themselves so they could keep believing that pulling back was the right decision. As more time went by, that mask became heavier to carry. Underneath it, a quiet inner struggle was taking place that nobody around them could see. Night after night, they reasoned through their emotions. They used logic to explain the distance and told themselves it was the safer and wiser path to follow. Some of this came from pride, some from fear, and some from not knowing how to handle feelings that felt too large to manage easily. That happens more often than most people understand. Sometimes a person steps away not because they feel nothing, but exactly because they feel too deeply. Being truly seen by someone else can feel unsettling at first. It can bring up worries about losing control or about being hurt again. But when two people are truly meant to connect on a deeper level, all the reasoning in the world eventually loses its strength. Slowly, the protective walls they had built around themselves started to weaken. As that happened, they began to notice that life without you felt less bright, and missing something important they could not easily name or replace. A new awareness started to grow inside them. They realized that the guarded and controlled version of themselves they had been showing was not their real self. It was only a role they had been playing, and it no longer suited them. Every attempt they made to move further ahead and create more space between you was quietly stopped by something that kept bringing their thoughts back. It was not just missing a person in the usual way. It touched their deepest sense of who they are. It became a turning point for them, something like a personal awakening. There were times when they tried to hide those feelings by staying very busy with noise, people, and distractions. But even then, comparisons kept coming in. Thoughts they would never speak out loud kept drifting back toward you. All of this was building quietly under the surface, leading to the change you are now starting to sense. Something is shifting, and this time it does not have the same easy escape routes that old distractions once gave. A person can only remain in avoidance for so long before their deeper self becomes completely tired from the effort. And that is exactly where this person is right now. The life they built to hold their true feelings at a distance is no longer giving them the same numbness it once did. They had told themselves that enough space would weaken the connection, that enough quiet would slowly reduce the strength of what they felt, and that enough time would gently remove your presence from their emotional world. But the opposite took place. The longer the separation lasted, the clearer their feelings became. Instead of growing weaker, you became more present in their thoughts. They started noticing you in the small, empty spaces they had not expected, in the quiet time before sleep, and in conversations that suddenly felt hollow. Type yes if your intuition is telling you something is shifting with them. In busy places where they still felt completely alone, even with noise and activity all around them, something kept directing their attention back to you. That is when a deeper understanding started to take root. They began to see that what they shared with you was not an ordinary connection or short-lived excitement. It was something that had reached parts of them that nobody else had ever touched. Once that understanding came, it changed how they saw everything around them. Because once you realize a bond is truly special, you cannot return to treating it as though it is not. Their thoughts may still try to argue against it, but the heart starts to speak with a strength that ordinary logic cannot overcome. There have been nights when they sat alone and remembered conversations you may have stopped thinking about long ago. Small moments that once seemed ordinary now carry great meaning in their memory. The way you looked at them during a difficult time, the calm your presence brought without any effort, the special ease of being with someone you do not have to pretend for. That kind of emotional safety is truly rare. The empty space it leaves behind is not something you can easily fill with other things. They have been trying to fill it, and it has not worked. The more they searched for it elsewhere, the more clearly they understood what was really there between you. At first, pride told them they could move ahead without any difficulty, that they were stronger than the feeling. But pride always reaches its limit. It eventually meets the reality of true emotional truth. For this person, that limit has now arrived. They have started to see the connection differently. It is no longer something they think they can simply choose or replace whenever they want. They are beginning to realize that meeting you changed something in them permanently. It is not something they can simply decide to undo. While all of this has been happening inside them, something has also been changing inside you. Even if you still think about this person often and wonder what might happen next, you are not in the same emotional place you were before. Something inside you has become stronger and calmer through all of this. You have learned what it really feels like to reach towards someone who is not meeting you in the middle. You felt the tiredness of carrying most of the emotional weight by yourself. Slowly, through the confusion and the long quiet periods, you started bringing your own energy back inside. That change is more meaningful than it may appear. Because when you stopped stretching yourself too far, when you stopped being always available in the hope that it would finally be enough, everything in the energy between you transformed. There was a time when your feelings were mostly pointed outward toward this person. How you felt each day depended on whether they replied, whether they appeared, or whether they noticed you. But at some point, you became truly tired of that pattern, not in a loud or dramatic way, but because your inner self understood that your own peace had real value. You gently turned your energy back toward yourself, not because you stopped caring, but because you finally began caring for yourself with the same steady attention. That decision created a significant energetic shift. When someone is always sending their focus outward, their presence can start to feel like something in the background that others take for granted. Comment awakening if you believe they are starting to feel what they lost. But when that energy quietly turns inward and becomes calm, the lack of it becomes impossible to overlook. That is what this person is noticing right now. They are feeling your distance in a new way because your energy no longer carries the same urgency or need for their attention. Instead of making the connection feel weaker, it has pushed them to face honestly what they have actually been missing. This is why they have become more restless lately. Some part of them senses that you are growing. The version of you who waited and tried hard and made themselves smaller is turning into something different. That realization brings a sense of urgency because time suddenly feels like it might not last forever. People often cannot see the true value of something until they have spent enough time living without it. This person is now sitting with the full weight of every moment they waited too long, every feeling they pushed away, every time fear guided their choice. For the first time, they cannot easily avoid that truth. Sometimes separation is not what ends a bond, but what makes it clearer. Distance has a way of showing emotional patterns that cannot be ignored. It reveals where fear lives inside a person and where someone has been losing themselves while searching for love. It also shows clearly what each person is like when they stand completely alone. This time apart changed both of you, but in different ways. It helped you find your own value again without needing their approval to confirm it. It gave them the experience of moving through life without your special energy present. That is why what you are feeling now carries so much meaning. Things that were hidden under avoidance are now coming to the surface. This person is starting to understand that they do not just miss your attention, they miss your energy, your emotional depth, and the special way they felt when they were around you. They miss the sense of being truly understood without needing to explain everything. That realization has grown strong enough that they can no longer set it aside easily. What they are experiencing is not just a short mood or a few difficult nights. It has become something steady that moves through their daily life. Whether they deal with it or try to push it away, there are times when they are doing something completely normal and a memory of you suddenly takes their full attention. A sound, a smell, a certain word, or a particular time of day all begin to carry traces of you. At first, these moments made them uneasy because they wanted to believe they had complete control over their thoughts. They wanted to decide exactly when you entered their mind and when you did not. But deep emotional truth does not follow such rules. The stronger the bond, the more naturally it appears on its own. They are now reaching the point where fighting the connection takes more effort than it returns. The walls they built for safety have started to feel more like isolation than protection. The silence they once thought was needed has begun to feel heavy and difficult. It has pushed them into real reflection. From that place, they are looking back at things with fresh eyes. They are remembering times when you tried to understand them while they remained closed off. They recall moments when you showed patience they never fully appreciated. Those memories now carry a different meaning because they can finally see what was truly being given to them. Real love can feel ordinary when it is present every day. You do not always notice its special quality until it is no longer there. This person is now seeing how rare what you offered truly was. The honesty, the depth, the steadiness, and the comfort of being with someone who allowed them to be themselves. They have looked for pieces of that feeling in other places and found nothing each time. That only makes your importance clearer to them. There were nights when they tried hard to move on completely, only to have their thoughts return to you before the night was over. Drop in a compass below if you have been getting strong signs about this person. Moments when they tried to cut the emotional connection and felt an even stronger pull right after. Every attempt to escape the bond only made them more aware of it instead of less. This happens because what existed between you was never just surface level. Something inside them truly saw something real inside you. That kind of deep recognition does not simply vanish because someone decides it should. That shift in understanding has changed your energy in a basic way. Whether they can say it out loud or not, they feel the difference. They sense that you are no longer following them emotionally the way you once did. They notice that you have become more settled inside yourself, less worried, and less dependent on their replies for your own balance. Strangely, that is exactly what has made their awareness of you grow stronger than before. When someone stops forcing love and returns to themselves, their energy takes on a new quality. You became calm. In that calm, they were finally left alone with the full strength of their own feelings without the distraction of your earlier urgency to hide behind. Their thoughts keep returning to this connection. Their emotions will not let them stay comfortably away from the truth any longer. The truth is becoming impossible to deny. You matter to them, not in a light or casual way, but in a way that has truly changed how they experience closeness. That kind of realization feels unsettling for someone who has tried to stay in control for a long time. Because once you fully accept how much someone means to you, you also have to accept the reality of being open, of taking risks, and of the possibility of being hurt. Fear has guided their choices for quite some time. Fear of being hurt, fear of losing control, and fear of being fully seen and then left alone. But fear eventually reaches its limit. The weight of avoiding the truth becomes heavier than the weight of simply being honest. That is the stage they are slowly but clearly moving toward now. The silence between you has stopped being empty for them. It has become emotionally loud. Every day they stay disconnected, the awareness inside them grows more demanding. Every attempt to push the feeling down creates more pressure instead of relief. This is why the energetic shifts you have been sensing lately have been so strong. Something inside them is truly preparing for a real change. Not something forced, but genuine emotional understanding that quietly changes how a person sees their whole life. They are beginning to know that losing you would not just mean losing a person. It would mean losing a part of themselves they only found through this special bond. That kind of understanding changes people in deep and lasting ways. Whether or not they have shown any of it yet, their heart is moving toward a moment where silence can no longer be kept. The more they try to create distance, the more clearly your absence shows itself. This has created a real inner conflict, where one part wants to stay protected behind walls, while another part cannot stop thinking about what reaching out would feel like. They imagine different situations in their mind. They think about what they would say, how you might respond, and whether it is already too late. Those questions keep turning in their thoughts. What once felt easy to avoid now carries a growing sense of urgency. There are moments when they come very close to sending a message. The pressure inside builds until the silence almost breaks, but then fear stops them at the last moment. Fear has been their main protection for a long time, but it is gradually losing its hold. Not suddenly, but slowly and steadily. Day by day, the emotional truth becomes heavier than the safety those old ways once offered. The part of them that worked so hard to stay separate is starting to give way. Underneath all the resistance, they already know the truth. No one else has touched them the way you have. No one else brought that exact blend of emotional depth, recognition, and the feeling of being fully understood. That knowledge has changed everything for them. What once felt uncertain now feels important. What they once avoided now feels hard to escape. What they once questioned is becoming clearer with every new day. Clarity brings movement. Comment next step if you feel they're about to reach out or take action. There are still fears to face, old habits to notice, and truths to accept. But something basic has already changed. They are no longer standing outside this feeling deciding whether to join it. They are inside it now, and they feel it completely. Once someone reaches that point, silence becomes much harder to maintain. Both of you have grown through this. The old imbalance cannot continue the same way. Something more honest is trying to come forward. All the silence, all the thinking, and all the inner pressure that has been building has created a situation where something must move. Real emotional truth cannot stay held down forever before it finds a way to show itself.